Good morning, everybody. I had fully intended to come out this morning and say that this is a tough act to follow. If you look at your program, you'll notice that the first speaker following the greetings was supposed to be my boss, Oriel Reichman. Most regrettably, he's on a plane right now to the Maldives to attend to a personal family issue, and I know that you all join me in wishing him and his family only good things. Over the next 2 days, we're going to be hearing a lot about ideas. Ideas alone do not change people. Ideas alone do not transform societies. Indeed, what I've come to know over recent years and in dealings with my friends and colleagues here in India, it's the people who come up with the ideas, it's the people who assemble teams to elucidate those ideas, and building teams to implement them. They are the change makers, they are the real transformers in society. So as was said by the state minister, who is a tough act for me to follow, we are all here assembled over the next 2 days because one man sitting in Pune, not too far away, has come up with many ideas over his lifetime, has assembled a wonderful team in both the Sakal Media Group, the Delivering Change Foundation, the Sakal International Learning Center, and so forth, and has brought us all here together. And it is indeed a personal pleasure and a privilege to be here with you today, to work with you personally and with my institution to help, it's a big word, transform Maharashtra, but to work with you to help ourselves also become better people. I say it's a pleasure, a personal pleasure to be in Mumbai. I was here in November, I was here in December, I was here in January. I think I'll be taking up honorary citizenship in Mumbai. This is probably my 15th visit. And my first visit to India was about 8 years ago. And it was about a year after the tragic events that took place in southern Mumbai. And when people ask me, why do I come back to India again and again, and it's usually to Mumbai, regrettably, most unfortunately, one of the ties that I have, one of the bonds that I have to the city are indeed those tragic events that I think we in Israel, perhaps better than anyone else around the world, although it affects people in Paris, in Brussels, in Berlin, and everywhere. Those tragic events, I think, have really solidified the personal ties that we in Israel feel with the people of India. I will speak in my presentation a little bit later. There are a lot of things that are similar between the people of India and the people of Israel, and there are also differences. And I think it's the differences between us that make us a potent combination and a potent force for change. We can all remember back in primary school, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, we're youngsters and we're talking with each other, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman, I want to be a wrestler, I want to be, I don't know. How many of us would have thought when we're 6, 7, 8 years of age, when I grow up, I want to be responsible for the research portfolio and global partnerships of an independently funded institution of higher learning in the state of Israel. Not very many people would have had that dream. I would not have had that dream growing up in New York City back in the late 1960s. But here I am. That's exactly what I do, and that's what brings me here to Mumbai today. I spent a lot of sleepless hours last night trying to combine my presentation with that of Professor Reichman, and I'll try to do justice to his words. Where I fail, those failings are mine, not of his ideas. And this is where I'd like to take us over the next few minutes. The clock says I have 25 minutes. I'm not sure that I'll need it. So again, as I said, more so than it is about ideas, it's about people. 2 months ago, when I was here in Mumbai, I was actually also in Delhi. If you'll notice, all of these issues relate to Abhijit and other colleagues from India in the presence of the President of the State of Israel when we signed a lot of collaborative agreements. And that got me thinking. We're all here assembled to work together. We're different organizational units, institutions, universities, companies. We're all coming together with Abhijit and his team, and we're talking about bilateral cooperation, collaboration, joint projects, etc. At the end of the day, as I said earlier, it's not about institutions working together. Institutions are not what we're talking about. We're talking about people, and when people can talk to each other, when people can come together around a common language, we have the ingredients in place for radical change. It's not the bricks and mortars, the floors and the walls that cooperate and collaborate at the end of the day, but it's us. It's all about relationships. It's all about moving from sheer or mere cooperation to collaboration, where we actually have the potential to make change together for ourselves and for others. The founding father of modern-day Israel was Theodor Herzl, and he had a sentence which I believe rings true till today. If you will it, it's no dream. Modern-day Israel is proof that from a barren desert, wonderful things can happen in an extremely short period of time, and anybody who has visited Tel Aviv will know exactly what I'm talking about, that from sand dunes of 100 years ago, you have a blossoming, super modern, Western city by any man's definition. I will talk a little bit about leadership, and I am a very big fan of Billy Joel, which reminds me that we have a peculiar habit in Israel. We like to give names to everything, and oftentimes we give names to things based on the first product to enter a market. So that today, if you ask most people in Israel, how do you call a tractor? They'll tell you John Deere. How do you call a tissue? They'll say Kleenex. What's the Hebrew word for a refrigerator? Frigidaire. What's the word in Hebrew for a headphone? Anybody? Madonna. So here I am, Madonna, giving you my little song and dance for today. So we're talking about people, we're talking about leadership. One of the things that strikes me, a lot of us here today are Israelis, and we've been invited here to share with you the Israeli story. And it's interesting. At IDC on our campus, not a week goes by when there's not a visiting delegation from India, China, Korea, Singapore, etc., the States also, and Europe, coming to learn from us how is it that this tiny country, barely a speck on the map, has become such a powerhouse in entrepreneurship and innovation. One of the messages that we have to be honest about in sharing is that not everything is translatable from one system to another. I'll talk about that in a few slides, but at the outset it's important to say that there are certain national characteristics that go along with personal traits and characteristics. It's either in your DNA or it's not. Not everybody is born to be a leader. Not everybody is born to be a transformer. What it takes is not only a leader, but a team. Gone are the days where even the academics in the humanities are sitting alone by their desk at the end of a dusty corridor, working alone on their manuscript. Those days are gone, even in the humanities, certainly in the sciences and in the social sciences. It takes a team. It takes people coming together with different sets of experiences and knowledge to address issues. One of the most important skills we can give our students today is not economics 101 or the fundamentals of biology or chemistry, but it's relationship management. Going back to what I said at the very beginning of my remarks, it's the people in your life that matter most, whether it's family, whether it's the people that you work with, and how you treat those people. So we can all rattle off together the various traits of what it takes to make a leader, and I'm not going to spend time to talk to you about that. We all recognize a leader when we see it in that woman or in that man. But what does it take for a team to work together with that leader? And here I've put on the slide some of the characteristics, some of the traits that we need all to invest in that relationship in order to make it work. The most important bullet item, if I have to single out one, would be the fifth one, trust. There has to be trust between the different people, the belief that we're on a same sheet of music, that we're working towards a common dream or a common goal. If that trust isn't in place, quite quickly the team will go adrift. And here's where I want to spend a moment or two to talk about the relationship between India and Israel. You may not know, but this year we celebrate, and I use the word celebrate on purpose, 25 years of diplomatic relations. It is a wonderful milestone for us to take note of how far we've come in our region. I said there were differences between Israelis and Indians, but there are a lot of similarities between us. Most of us, Israelis, who come to Mumbai, and here's my health warning for those of you for whom this is the first time, be prepared to fall in love with the city. Israelis feel, curiously enough, at home in Mumbai, at home in all of India. We have a sense of belonging, a sense of family, and a sense of kinship with the Indian people. And I think with Mumbai in particular, there's a certain chaotic buzz, a certain noise, a certain sense that things are happening and moving in Mumbai that you don't find elsewhere. Not in Delhi, not even in Bangalore or Hyderabad, which are the Silicon Valleys, theoretically, of India, but actually here in Mumbai. Coming together to work, there are two triangles which are pushing me forward. There is the state of Israel, which I cannot divorce myself from, and my institution, IDC Herzliya, which is my home. There are our Indian colleagues from various sectors that have to come together. And as I said a few moments ago, it's all based on the goodwill that we express towards each other, the trust that we have in each other to move that triangle forward. And not to neglect other people, I can't help but take note of the fact that the program, if today most of us are Israeli speaking, tomorrow it's German heavy. And it's curious that with most of my Indian colleagues with whom I come into contact, it takes not more than 10 seconds to mention a common colleague that we have in Germany, quite often in Baden-Württemberg, quite often in the Stuttgart-Karlsruhe region. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe that things just happen. I believe that the triangle between Israel, India, and Germany is a force that we have to consider as we move to make some change. So what is it about Israelis that people are coming to learn? What is it about us that's been unique over the past 3 or 4 decades? One ingredient in particular sticks out, and this goes to the differences between Israelis and Indians. If there is one personal characteristic, which is now part of our national character, that sets us aside and has pushed us forward in our innovative successes, it's the Hebrew or Yiddish word chutzpah, which does not easily translate into any language, not even for a native English American speaker as I am. It means the audacity to believe that you and only you have the solution for the problem at hand. Israelis are, if nothing else, overly confident that they are the right person at the right time to address that issue. Nobody else knows what they're talking about. I'm not sure if that deserves clapping. As I say on the previous sentence, this is a double-edged sword. It can be used for good, and it could be used for bad. Anybody who's visited Israel will know that on the road, we travel like Indians. We're cutting each other off. It's quite dangerous. It's offensive driving. That's the bad part of chutzpah. The good part of chutzpah is that we have an insatiable appetite for learning, for questioning, for cutting through the chaff and getting to the main point. That's Israelis. I'm not sure if that's Indians. We'll talk about that in a moment. Israelis are taught at a very young age to be independent, to be responsible for themselves and their actions, to work as teams. Israel is a very small country. Israel is less than the size of Mumbai as far as people are concerned, about a third. Israeli population is 8 million. Double-edged sword. Again, we drive on the road as if we're 8 million prime ministers. We're the most important person at any one time. But at the end of the day, we come around the dinner table together. We're all family. You've all heard of, I imagine, the 6 degrees of separation. The 6 degrees of separation tells us, take any 2 people on the face of the earth, you don't have to go through more than 6 people until you know that person. So my boss knows the president of Israel, who knows the president of the United States. Here you are. You're all 4 people removed from Donald Trump. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but that's what it is. In Israel, there is no such thing as the 6 degrees of separation. If you're lucky, there's 1, but most usually there's 0 degrees of separation. Again, it could be a good thing, right? We can get to the top doctor in no time to address a family crisis, as happened to my boss, Oriel Reichman, overnight. We got to the top doctor in Israel to address an issue in the Maldive Islands. That's the beauty of Israel. Driving on the roads, how we debate each other in the parliament or on TV talk shows is the negative side. What strikes me from my very first visit to India is the exact opposite of what I said earlier about chutzpah. I have never found in all of my travels around the world a people, a collective, more humble. The humility that's expressed by the people of India is amazing. And I think that's what brings more Israelis to trek the mountains of India and to the beaches of Goa. That balance in life, to understand what's really important in life, the people, the country. The 2 things together, the Israeli chutzpah and the Indian humility. I'm not sure if that word is right. I see people looking at my words there. I did a little bit of research. I hope it's more or less an accurate position. Those 2 forces coming together, chutzpah and humility, I think position Israelis and Indians to bring great things to ourselves and to our people. And here's where my institution comes into play and perhaps can play a role. And I'm going to go very fast now with the time remaining. IDC Herzliya was the first independently funded university founded in Israel nearly a quarter of a century ago, with the mission of making change in Israel, being the Kennedy School of Israel, really educating tomorrow's leaders. We had a clear social dimension, a clear social engagement policy from day one. It was our primary mission. We're here for a purpose. We're here to help propel this young, burgeoning country forward in a university that does not exist for the researchers, in an institution that does not exist for the faculty members, but in a place that exists, most importantly, for its students. And if I put on a slide the 7 characteristics of IDC Herzliya, our attitude towards our students, the fact that we treat them not as customers, not as clients, but as partners, that's what sets us apart in our attitude. Some of the things that we teach at IDC, the honors programs, if you will, all relate to leadership or to entrepreneurship, which can be interchangeable terms. What's interesting to note that at IDC, almost all of these special, unique programs are spearheaded by women faculty at IDC, and that's not by chance. That's by design. Some of the programs that have come to the attention of the Sakal group, which is what brought us here eventually, is the fact that at the undergraduate level, for the past 16 years, we have been teaching our students how to come up with ideas and how to see them through to their conclusion. The conclusion can be a real-world exit. The conclusion can be a flop, a failure. And the Zell program has seen real-world exits by these student ventures in excess of $500 million. And it says something about IDC Herzliya when I tell you that as an institution, we take 0% of royalties generated by these student ventures. Again, we are in favor of a barrier-free system. The student shouldn't have to think of anything other than ideation, coming up with the idea, assembling the team and the knowledge, and running with it, with our mentoring. The Interdisciplinary Approach, which is our name, Interdisciplinary Center, really transforms everything. We don't just teach law or business or economics or psychology, but we try to bridge the various disciplines. I'm not going to go into them. It's all on our website. But we are doing something interesting at IDC. We are doing something different at IDC. To give you just one or two statistics, we are the most expensive university in Israel, charging our students 4 times what they would pay to go to any one of the state-subsidized universities. Tel Aviv University is very close to us. An economics degree at Tel Aviv University will cost the student, or more so the parent, 25% of what it costs at IDC. We also know in Israel that something happened about 25 years ago, I don't know what. Fewer children were born. The natural cohort of potential students has gone down in the past 2-3 years, and that will continue for the next 4 or 5 years, and then we'll start to see an increase in students. This has meant greater competition, and all of the universities in Israel are seeing their numbers go down. IDC continues to see its numbers go up. So the parents and the students are obviously observing that there's a good return on your investment by studying at IDC. Entrepreneurship, technology, innovation, of course. Those slides can be shown to you by anybody from any institution. That's what makes us so unique, in all honesty. But this slide is. We have no faculty club on campus. The president takes his lunch every day in the student cafeteria. We have no fancy administration building. That's not where our student tuition money will go for. There's no reserved parking on campus, not if you're the president, not if you're a dean, except if you have physical challenges. Those are 3 no's. But the word no is not part of our vocabulary. I think Obama plagiarized us. Yes, we can is our attitude. I'm kidding. Yes, we can is our motto. Or Hertz Rent-A-Car, or Avis Rent-A-Car. We try harder. That's our motto. We owe everything that we do to our students. We never forget for a moment why we are gathered in Herzliya, 6 kilometers north of Tel Aviv. Going back a few slides to the various educational programs, or the things that we try to teach our students, and the reason why so many people, especially from Asia, come to Israel to understand the secret of our success. If you remember nothing from my presentation, this might be the slide that you want to take home. In Israel, fear is not in our vocabulary. We're not afraid of change. We're not afraid of trying new things. And I guess we share this with Americans more than any other collection of peoples. We're not afraid of failure. And if we fail, we know that it's only an excuse to learn, to pick yourself up, fail again, but fail better. Pick yourself up, try again, Hopefully, at the end of the day, God willing, you'll succeed. But that failure does not necessarily say anything about you, who you are. A personal shortcoming and a business shortcoming are two different things. And that shouldn't be the barrier. This is the most important lesson, along with relationship management, that I believe we try to share with our students. IDC, we're fully engaged with India. 35% of our students come from around the world. This is what we want. This is what we're looking for. We urge our friends and our colleagues in India to learn with us, to have your students come to us, to share the experience by doing. That's how we teach. We learn by doing, we learn by questioning, we learn in teams, all the while through a mentored process. These are some of the clusters of excellence that we teach, that we learn, that we study together, that we research. It's only a sampling. The tools that we use in working with our global partners are the same that you would find in any laundry list of collaboration models. The thing to remember about Israelis is, and of IDC, we learn by doing, not just by theoreticals. The team, again, I come back to that. We have to work together, not as individuals. We cannot be afraid to get dirty, to get into the trenches, to spend a lot of sleepless hours, as I did last night in preparing for this. We have to remember that there are soft skills involved, people skills, communication skills, but there are the hard rules. Israelis are also very good at bending those hard rules. And that's where you need a leap of faith. You have your skills, but there are the unknowns. There are the things you can never predict. Like I would be the first speaker here in the morning in front of 700 people. You have to take a leap of faith, and if you do, you will have a life-changing experience, and it will be ultimately positive. I began by talking a little bit about people and a little bit about what ties me to Mumbai, and I want to use my remaining 2 minutes, I will conclude on time, by coming full circle to something that I speak about around the world. In one form or another, we all sitting here today are international educators, whether we all want to use that term or not. We all know that we live in an extremely complex, confusing world. But as I see it, and with no disrespect meant for the great engineering schools of India, Israel, Germany, and elsewhere, we, the international educators, are the true social engineers in the sense that we are the ones that are building the bridges that will be sustainable over time, bringing our peoples together, binding our peoples together, so that we can address what I call glocal issues. They're global and they're local at the same time. Global problems which may have local solutions, local problems which may have global solutions. We come together in this global environment together. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks is the immediate past chief rabbi of the British Commonwealth, and he's written many books. And he is, in my opinion, the greatest Jewish thinker of contemporary times. He speaks less about the Bible and more about the dignity of difference. We're not the same. We shouldn't pretend to be the same. Even within Israel, most people don't realize how diverse a society Israel is, with its Jews, Muslims, Christians, Bedouin, immigrants from Ethiopia, Russia, the United States, etc. Predominantly Jewish, but diverse nonetheless. We have to learn to appreciate that we are better people when we appreciate the differences between us. Again, globally connected, global and local at the same time, in order for us to be able to address these global challenges, but more importantly, so that we can become better people. And this is the last slide. We have to tear down the walls of ignorance. I've used this in the past, pre-Donald Trump. We shouldn't be talking about walls that divide us. but it's our job to tear them down so that we can better understand and better appreciate each other. If we do that together, Indians, Israelis, Germans, and everybody else, we will indeed be able to make a dent in Maharashtra, in India, in Israel, in Germany, in Brooklyn, New York, wherever we are. A little bit of self-promotion. The bottom web address will become live. I was fortunate enough to receive funding from the European Union to work on a program on social engagement with 4 Maharashtra universities. So, as if I haven't been coming here enough, I'm guaranteed with Brussels money to continue coming to Maharashtra for the next 3 or 4 years. And I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you very much.